It might just be
in the resume or
in their application.
Mm-hmm.
It might just be in their handwriting skills. Now, we don't expect to cure all the ills all at once, but if they recognize that these are factors that keep them from getting a position, they can try to help themselves. And we're here to list the things that maybe will help them be better prepared when they do meet the employer.
Now, you said this is a neophyte endeavor. That's, you're at the start. What kind of response are you getting initially?
We've had a tremendous response as far as people coming down, as you would imagine, looking for jobs. Right away, they would come down, Mr. McDonough, do you have a job for me? I need a job. And this is what's been happening. But then they begin to find out they need a job, they want a job, we have jobs available. Right off the bat, for example, they don't have the skills.
Yeah.
But then they're at least they came after the job. Now we can start to talk with the young man or young lady on what skills should he try to achieve to get a job in what he wants to do.
Before we go on about the organization itself, when you talk about skills, are we talking about basic skills? Are they lacking the ability to read and write? Or what are we talking about when you say skills?
No, there are two types of skills when you talk. When you say employability skills, you have to have something available within yourself that the employer is able to see.
Right.
You have to be able to sell yourself. Now, the reading and writing, and like I said before, can't claim to cure all the ills all at once. But if a person has gone through school and graduated or on the verge of graduating and still has not been able to find work, it's for another reason outside of weakness in education, academics, for example. Because anyone trying and with help and knowing how to do it can get a job of some type.
Right.
Now, it's according to what their goals are, where do they want to go first. Many people in our community businesses want to hire young people.
But they're lacking in the skills at this point.
They're lacking in the skills, and sometimes the job doesn't suit them, the actual employee. They get some, you wouldn't believe it, but some of them, they might not be earning any money at all, but they do not want to do a certain job that's available to them.
Yeah. Now, Leo, how did you come about through the career counseling service? How did you come to find it?
I came to find it, my night school principal told me about the,
the service?
The service,
And what were you looking for when you went there? Did you have any idea what you were looking for, or you just trying to look for work?
Just trying to look for work.
All right. Have you been out there looking for work?
Yeah, I've been out there filling out applications, and every time I go to a job, they say they'll call me back.
Yeah. When you go out there, what's your feelings when you get out there? Are you hesitant and nervous about getting into the job or applying for jobs, or do you feel you're well qualified for the jobs you're applying for?
Yeah, most of them. I feel I'm qualified. Yeah.
But is this career counseling going to help you at all, or how you feel about it?
Yeah, I think it'll help me, and have better information of all the types of jobs out there, and how to get them.
Are you looking for any specific kind of work?
Not at this moment, no.
All right, but so if an employer were looking at you right now, you could tell them you're just a willing worker.
Right.
All right. Marie, how long have you been out looking for work?
Well, it's been out for 2 years without anything, And
How'd you come to the career counseling?
I was here in the daytime here, and I had my teacher for the work experience too. And then I dropped out of school, and then while I found him here from my counselor, because I didn't have any job now, when I saw my own teachers, I just called him here and I told him the whole story about no job anywhere. And then when I signed up the welfare at Gabby School, it was about $4,000.
You spent $4,000 on a school?
Right.
What kind of school?
It's a welfare. Gabby School is a beauty school.
Are you doing that now?
Yeah.
And are you hoping to get
No,
working
I just
there?
started.
Oh, you just started?
Yeah.
Is that what you want to pursue? Or you want to? Right. Well, what exactly are you going to do for people like Leo and Maria? what do you hope to do for people like Leo and Marie?
Okay, first of all, with Leo, Leo is, just as you said, a willing worker, and there are plenty of young people out there that are willing workers. He just doesn't know where or how to go about getting a job.
Right.
The primary thing is what he said he did. He went in and filled out an application. And of course, by going and filling out an application, they're building up their job bank, the employers. So he's not making any headway just filling out the application, which is a necessity. But something he does, if he gets that interview, if he gets the appointment, he has to be able to sell himself. The idea of just being a willing worker is good.
Right.
But if there are 15 willing workers out there, they just don't throw the things up in the air and pick out anybody they want. They're going to try to get the best person they can. If he has knowledge about himself of why he should get that job over the other 15, we hope to be able to tell him how to explain that to the employer during an interview.
How do you go explain that to the employer during an interview,
Well,
that you're the best?
well,
I'm
of
better
course.
than that next person.
Of course,
I
you
don't
don't
have
wanna- right.
many skills.
Right, you don't want to come on that way, of
Right.
course, but if he has some skill, or if he has his better attributes, to be talking about himself in a way that puts himself forward and not backward. If they didn't ask him how he did in school, he doesn't have to tell them how bad he did in school, let's say. That he improved later. Now he knows what he's going to do. They'll find that out themselves.
Yeah.
And primarily people don't ask questions like that.
So you're really saying part of the job interview is to stress the positive instead of the negative about yourself.
Definitely, and I think what you said before, how does a person, one of the hardest things if you ask anybody is for them to talk about themselves.
Oh, yeah.
And in an interview process, if it's done correctly both ways, then Leo's going to have a chance to try to explain it. If he misses up on that chance, they're going to say thank you very much. And Leo's done nothing wrong. But maybe one of those other 15 outside is going to make himself known better to the interviewer, and which, if we knew the way, the correct way right away, that's why we would tell them. But like to every interviewer or anybody, if you know yourself when you've been job hunting, you don't know what a certain employer wants. You got to be yourself, but be your best self. That's what we try to get out. There's a little human relations in it too.
Well, what do you mean human relations?
Well, how to get along with people. If the people would be very surprised at the main reason people lose jobs. Because we teach different things about being prompt and their cleanliness habits and things like that. But the main reason people lose a job is their inability to get along with others. And if Leo is coming on with that idea that he's a hard worker, that's almost 50%. He knows himself. He can do the job.
Right.
What he has to now be able to do is to sell himself to the other people. It might be one interviewer. It might be 4 or 5 people after he gets the job. So what we hope to do with our service too is not just after we get them the job or the employer comes to us to drop it right there. We hope to go back to them. We hope to do a reevaluation and to be able to use the successes that we have to try to show our other people that are coming to us, because we'll never run out.
Yeah.
We have a school here, and there's going to be young men and young women looking for jobs. And with the community that we're trying to serve now through this TV program, I'm sure there's people out there that maybe aren't doing the particular job that they want to, but they're earning a salary and they can't very well walk off their job, especially if they might have a family to take care of, etc. But they could look into the possibilities of what they can use with their past experience, and if there's anything open in a goal they might want to pursue.
What do you, in talking about the job market and wanting to change your job and pursue it, is the job market alive and well out there, or is it a weak, bird floundering around? How's it look to you from your new position here?
Well, it's a new position as far as right, but I've been in it about 20 years now.
Right.
As far as not just looking at the job perspective in one way or another, but it differs all over the country. And but the peculiarities are still the same. The individual himself has to make himself wanted. The jobs are out there. Hey, in periods of times when there's no one working, everyone's out of work, meaning it's just a tough time. But there are never going to be any more, like we say, times of plenty.
Yeah.
the sad thing about it is the unskilled person in today's world, it's just going to be extremely tough. Meaning, I don't have to be the one to tell you with the computers and with the different scientific advancements that we're making, that an individual has to become part of this society and not to hold himself back. And they're not going to be allowed to throw away the chances that are given them. And this is, you know, everything he's saying, even maybe being a teacher and coach and all that, all these years, it comes out like a sermon. But I couldn't be more definite in what I'm saying, that a person must be able to decide what he or she wants to do at an earlier age than we ever had to.
Yeah, you think the society is demanding that much of the person now? Huh?
Society is getting very, very tough. It's getting as bright as it looks, and as much as we're advancing, the person who doesn't want to work or hasn't worked up to a certain time or has just ignored life and responsibility altogether, it's going to be just as hard as it's always been.
Right.
But I think without a doubt, if they not just come to us or our program, if they start to realize and put their own self in an important place, to know thyself, like they say, and to really take that pride. And like I said, I can even feel as I'm saying it, everything coming out of the sermon, you don't mean it.
Yeah.
But it's just something you would love to be able to squeeze them
And say,
and
hey,
tell them, hey,
listen,
fun's fun.
Right.
And you don't want to take away any of that, especially from the young people. Let them have their fun. But the world's hitting them a lot earlier than it ever hit before. These kids are working at 14 and 15, not all the time because they have to, but because of the things they want, too. They know the things they want.
Yeah.
More than just a car or this. But in order to get that job, they, like I said, we're trying to tell them, they're going to have to be better than the other person.
Well, when you come into the Career Counseling Center over here, are you able to go in and look at a job and what a career involves and so forth? Is there a media service involved, or what exactly is involved in that?
Well, they give you the steps. When a person first comes to me, we get all the information about the individual himself. Then we try to find out, he tells us what he's interested in. And then 9 times out of 10, we'll have a tape or some audiovisual materials that will show on a film what this particular job does. Let's just say a dental technician. And they'll be able to see what the person does in the job, and then go back to say, what skills do I need to be able to get that job? Hey, that looks good. And then they'll find out that they might need 2 years of a junior college specializing in how to become a dental technician. But that would fit almost any field. I myself can say this just as far as what little expertise I think I might have just from education itself, is that kids that you have seen in school that haven't done well, if they're counseled right, even though academics might not have been their field at all, or their bag, as the kids would say, they might be able to do something else very well. All of a sudden, they didn't like government, or they didn't like English, or they didn't do well in math, but all of a sudden they went to air conditioning school. They took an interest in it. You'll see that same boy or girl that sometimes almost was a failure as far as academics in high school, be able to whip through that air conditioning school mainly for one reason. They now know what they want to do. They're taking a subject that they like, and they're also going to be a reward at the end. They can get into that field.
We've had a lot of talk lately about the academic weakness of American education and so forth and so on. Do you think there's a weakness in the vocational area right now, that we're not picking up these kids soon enough and vocationally training them for something?
No, just on the opposite. I think we're on the way upward on vocational.
Yeah.
Because we don't look at it as if it's just a type of position for somebody who's dropping out of school and going into the so-called blue-collar field. Vocation should be just as what it says. What's your vocation going to be? And if you can, the earlier you could find out what you want to be, and the earlier you could start to work on it, which is what vocational part of the academic education field is doing, I think it's all positive.
Yeah.
If you could know at 9th grade or 10th grade, have a pretty good idea, which most kids don't, or up to now, but what they want to do, and they're able to gear their own, not only high school courses, but maybe extracurricular activities and other things gearing for that eventual goal, can't help but anything but just be good for them.
Yeah. Now, Leo, you said you're a willing worker. Have you thought about at all what you want to do, want to be, or say 10 years from now, what you'd like to be doing?
Yeah, what I thought about, like studying business administration. Maybe someday, run my own business, like, like a small shop or something.
That sounds good.
Selling.
And but you really need to work right now in order to
Right
get
now,
yourself stable and so forth.
Right.
Are you pursuing school right now?
Yes.
What do you, high school, I gather?
Yeah, I'm going to high school to
Mhm.
finish my, the high school diploma.
And then you hope to go on and
Hope
study in
to
school.
go to study in college.
Mhm. Do you feel at any time education has failed you, somewhere along the line you didn't get the information you needed that you think you need now? I say in the 9th grade, were you thinking about what you wanted to do when you were getting older?
In the 9th grade, I didn't think about it much,
No.
Right now is when I'm starting, think about the future, my
Mhm.
plans.
Yeah. And Maria, you're saying you're pursuing school right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
And your hopes is to become a beautician.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Where do you see yourself 10 years from now?
Well, I would love to share anybody who has the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
All right. So Mike, we're looking at a job situation that you don't feel is bleak.
No, I don't. It's not a question of not feeling bleak about it. It's a question of saying we have to work with what we have. And I look at it as if the more successes that we have, the more Leos and Marias can feel that we're doing something for them.
Mm-hmm.
No time is too late. You asked him whether in 9th grade he didn't think about what he wanted to be.
Yeah.
Most people don't. Most kids aren't thinking of what they want to be later. It's a fortunate one that can in some ways, but sometimes it can be just as bad, Richard, in picking a career too early.
Yeah.
Before
I see what you're saying. You get tracked on a career and you get bored with it.
And then it might be just too late to get out of it, too.
Mhm.
But at least I like the attitudes when they're coming. If somebody comes for help, or can you help me, let's
Yeah.
go to, then we owe it, all of us, especially with the young people, to try to work with them. Now, we're not going to be successful all the time, but if we're working with them and they feel that, I think it can't be anything, as I said before, but beneficial to definitely our community.
Mhm.
And of course, in our community here, we're just so multicultural, multilingual and all that,
Now,
we just have
let
to-
me stop you there. You just brought up multilingual. Do you think in our community here, most especially, being bilingual is an asset in the community?
well, it's a touchy question.
I know, but
I mean,
let me get touchy with it.
Well, it's an asset
Mm-hmm.
for those people who are bilingual. It's an asset
What if
for-
I'm I speak one language? You think the job market out there limits me a bit more?
Sure, it limits you.
Mhm.
It limits you in that factor, saying if one of the job requirements says bilingual or prefers bilingual.
Mhm.
And remember, so I said something at the beginning of the program, it's the area of the country sometimes too,
Right.
of where you can work, and you might not be able to get a job particularly that you want to do in this area. You might have to move. We haven't even spoken on that. There's so many things that we could talk about, or that these kids here now don't realize, and maybe we didn't realize neither, Richard, if you tell the truth, on what we
To
could
say
have
the
done.
least. Now, when you also talked previous to this about kids coming in and wanting $20,000 a year jobs, high expectations. Are you finding a lot of that, or is that not typical?
I think it's a nice rude awakening for them when they come in. They almost think that everybody makes $15,000, $20,000 a year. And most jobs will pay you that after you work for a while and you've been doing something. But to get that job, why should they pay you? We get back to that all the time. This is if they start to realize, why should they pay you $15,000 or $20,000, or to put it more on a scale, that the minimum wage is $3.35, going to be moved up. Okay, if that's the minimum wage, all of a sudden the job becomes open where they'll pay you $5 an hour. Now, with that 5-hour job, $5 an hour job, there's going to be what? An awful lot of people trying to get it, right?
Sure.
But they only need 2. And we've seen it down here in Miami especially, when we could see it right on the employment pages where they say, well, there's going to be a job openings for 40 mailmen. or 100 mailmen, or a civil service job or something. You've seen it all over the country where people are amazed to find that there are 4,000 people out there waiting for 100 jobs. Now, we hope that they're all not out of work.
Yeah, you just hope that they're...
You're hoping that they might be thinking of making a change in their way of living or something, or this might be a job change for them. But if it's to the point where, why should you get the job over someone else? I think I could talk all day, and I think, to me, that's the main thing. If a person is able to not only sell himself, because you can be conned and be a phony and all that, but a person actually really believes in himself, I think they can sell himself. And I think you'll see it in them.
Just a personal note here. Have you ever thought of changing your jobs?
I guess many times. Many times but there are situations which try to explain to them too. Like, remember we said human relations?
Yeah.
The fact of, if you're married, you have a family, you really just can't pack up and go. You can't move just right away.
So responsibility ties you
Responsibility,
down.
well, you don't have to use the word ties you down, but it makes you think twice or three times before you would make your two biggest decisions in your life: who you're going to marry, or if you're going to get married, or where you're going to work.
True.
If you make those two decisions wrong,
You're going to be unhappy.
you know yourself, if people are unhappy at their job,
Right.
that's a heck of a way to spend the day. And then go home and be unhappy at home?
All right. Now, if you had to ask an employer out there for assistance, what would you ask them right now?
First thing, listen to us. When we come around, and we'll be having a pamphlet or a brochure that we'll try to get involved with the employers, tell them what we're doing. And we don't want a job today, right? We don't have to have a job today, but when they need the job, to give us a call, and we'll be there.
Well, thanks for being with us, Mike.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Leo, and good luck in your job search, and thank you, Maria. And thank you for being with us. Good night. For Profiles, I'm Richard Signori.